Welcome, author Lagnajita Chatterjee. Welcome to Books for You podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Your book is really famous in kids. We have seen that and we have seen the reviews and the effect. So kids are really loving it. Kids are laughing you out and bursting with the laughters. So yeah, that impact is huge. Your book, Googly, Impu Chimpu and Others stories. I'd like to know more about you, your journey as an author, and your story. Me and the listeners would love to know more about you.
Thank you for the wonderful compliments about my book. I'll first like to tell and introduce myself as a daughter of India. India is my motherland, my country. Other than the parents, the daughter of my parents, I am India's daughter too. And I love every nook and corner, no matter, whatever it is. Being my motherland, yes. And part of India, I have been born and brought up in a joint family.
Okay.
There were 15 to 17 members, and there were at least 7 to 10 kids around me. I was also one of them. So we had our own naughty days, our days of mischief. I was a very mischievous girl. I used to get up on the, treetops, get the guavas down.
Okay.
And go to others' roofs and disturb them. Of course, I never plucked flowers or, injured the trees and plants. But this was one part, plucking our fruit sometimes. Or just sitting on the branch of a tree and being proud of the fact that though a girl, I can learn how to climb a tree. I have learned it all. So I enjoyed in those ways. My cousins, yes, also helped me in my naughtiness. They were always with me in my happy and, of course, sad moments also few. So this was my childhood, wherein I understood later on as I grew up that I love to imagine a lot. I have a lot of fantasy, imagination of my own. I would say that I love to play with my own self.
Yeah.
Though a joint family, yet I'm a single child. So both my parents were working.
Yeah.
And my mother was a professor. She used to teach Bengali literature and language in the college. So with that, she had inculcated me a lot of reading habits. Also my father, both reading habits were a very important thing for us.
Okay.
We used to, kids and cousins, sit and play together and talk about atlas. We used to give competition like name, place, animal, thing, and sit actually with the atlas to find out the places now.
Yeah.
Because generally we all used to get the letters A a lot. And after America or some other countries, there was no A coming to us. So we used to sit with the atlas and see out which country next we should. So that was the way. And we learned in that magical way, I would say. It was not the, humdrum kind of study, sit and the boring and the dull routine of studies. We studied in that. Yes, the games and everything. Sometimes I am from a town called Asansol in West Bengal.
Okay.
So there were quite a few load sharings, used to power cuts. So that power cut was our best time also.
Yeah.
We together, yes. Since again, we together, children together, kids again, cousins, on a carpet, we sit together. And the lantern was lamped. The lamp was burning of the lantern, and we used to sit and find out, and then play games, then play music and songs in our own voices. So that's we learned a lot. There were a lot of discussions. Who wrote what? Why did he write so? What made him think? We used to, of course, count the stars and see the moon, and then make a story. Who would make a story, the best story with the moon and the stars? So that was our creative part. So yes, somebody said that yes, I like that. I would go and sit. Somebody says that no, it doesn't exist. The skeptical ones used to say this. So we all had our stories, wherein my cousins and others said me that you have a lot of imagination. Where do you think all this? That you have a staircase, you're walking up out of the balcony and going to the moon and meeting and telling hello, handshaking with the moon.
Yeah.
And sitting there for some 4-5 days and there's no school and no study, then I get bored. So all these kind of our own stories used to come up. We used to weave our own stories. And then finally another important point I would say is the newspaper. The newspaper reading, that was a big part of every family in those days. A hard copy newspaper used to come. And each member used to have a competition who would get the newspaper first and read it. And then my first inquisitiveness was this, that what is there in that newspaper to read and to snatch away from each other. I used to see some days my father used to get it and run. Some days his younger brother used to get it and run away. Just hide in one corner and sit and read that newspaper. So finally one day my father made me sit with him and taught me what are the headlines, how do they look, a report. And then he taught me also there were extra pagelets on Saturday and Sunday especially. There were stories written on it.
Oh.
And wonderful stories, sometimes for kids, sometimes as a novel part. It used to continue every Sunday and Saturday. And the names of the writers. And he used to tell me, this is the story, you start reading, see what you like about it. If you can find, there will be new words also. Both English and Bengali newspaper, both. So when I started reading that, I really felt interested in the story. And then I asked my mother and my father that how do we write stories? How do they create so much of imagination? So that was my first inquisitiveness, my first question. I was then, I think, in class 5 or 6. So then my mom said that they have read a lot. It's knowledge, reading, traveling, talking, mixing with people. There are so many factors. It does not come in a day. And finally, it clicked my mind and I asked that, Ma, will I be able to write a story one day? Will my name be there in the newspaper too? So I really, out in a light humor, a light joke, she said, of course, if you do some quality work, people will surely read it. So try for that. So I thought, I would do it to think a story today, as my cousins always say, I'm good at it. So I will write something tomorrow and then the third day it will be in the newspaper. So of course, then I understood it's not that easy. So that was the journey. And then there were a lot of storytelling classes in our school. So with all these involvements, it was story. Every night, bedtime, I used to disturb my mother. How much tired she was, I didn't mind. She had to tell me a story before she went to sleep. And therefore, this was my upbringing, inculcating of stories. And it built my fantasy world, my imagination. When I was alone, I used to play. Sometimes I became a famous dancer, sometimes an actor, sometimes a painter. So I played different characters. Sometimes I chose the funniest characters who I liked in my area or somewhere nearby. I just used to play that character. The story I wrote was Nakul and the Hindu. That come there, and it also had come out in Cloud9. It's a popular magazine from Orissa, that comes from Orissa.
So it's the
Cloud9
for you, right? It was your dream.
Yeah.
Published in newspaper.
Yes.
And it is actually
childhood dream, of course. So I understood that, it doesn't take, of course, it doesn't take a day, it doesn't happen in a day or a month. So it takes few years, it takes steps.
a lot of time.
And you have to be very patient and persistent.
Listening to all of your childhood and the way you told about the growing of phase, it looks like your book, Googly, Impu Chimpu and Other Stories, is a reflection of your childhood. It's actually a portrayal of your own childhood, and the way you told me about you used to play other characters. In the reviews I've seen, people actually telling about there's a fox with a dhoti, and there's other people like and crazy characters. So actually mixed whole of your childhood into that one book, which is now on Amazon. People are loving it, and I'm seeing that it's on your childhood. It's not the difference. Your reflection, a portrayal of whole your childhood craziness. Okay, so please now tell us about your book, Googly, Impu Chimpu and Others.
Yes, how nice of you that you have just picked that chord up. Yes. If I say the first story, Googly, Impu Chimpu and Other Stories, is a compilation of 4 stories, not more than that. The first story named Googly. The second one is Impu and Chimpu, Impu Chimpu. Third one, Udara Mudara Tara. And the last one is Nakul sat on a high chair. So Googly, it's about imagination. Again, childhood, we used to eat the snails from the ponds that are named Googly. And Googly is very good for the eyes. It was cooked with mustard and onions and all these things. It's good for the eyes. So that was the name I got. Somehow Googly came to me. And crocodile is another character. Which in reality will never happen that a girl is talking to a crocodile. But of course we see, animal lovers are there. The people who maintain rules. Also a bit about human nature. How do we react? How do we act in different circumstances? As Googly has a difficulty. Though Googly loves the crocodiles, yet she has a little difficulty. So what is the difficulty? What is the challenge that is there? Is in Googly, if they read it, The readers who still have not gone through the book, I think they will understand. Next, Impu Chimpu, as I said, yes, fox in a dhoti. So the fox is also not only in a dhoti, but also he is riding a cycle. So he has a cycle. So the fox, and the cover page says so. The fox riding a cycle comes to meet, and Chimpu is the champion, the lion there. So Chimpu is totally sick and ill. And what is the reason of his illness? That he has eaten a mouse. Now, see, it's a random, regular story. A lion eating a mouse. We have heard these stories many times before. But then, what actually is different? After the lion has eaten the mouse, and the mouse has entered the lion's stomach, the mouse has not been digested. The mouse is not dead. It is living inside the stomach and, running from right to left, top to bottom and disturbing the lion.
Yes.
So rather, he has overpowered this huge beast, and the lion is almost unconscious, half unconscious. That is the state. And then animals all come and play their part. There's Mike, called the tiger. There is a zebra named Babush. There is a character, there is again Coco comes, crocodile. Coco is an Ayurvedic doctor. So each one comes to help. How can they take the mouse out of the lion's body, lion's stomach? But finally, there is also another very peculiar character, weird character named Lala. So Lala is a human who says that I am an astrologer. He has multiple characters. He thinks that he is multi-talented. He is an astrologer, he's a doctor, he's a teacher, he's a wise man. So Lala comes, finally Lala is called by the fox. The name of the fox is Fantus. So Fantus calls Lala to help Lion get rid of that mouse. So this is the entire story that flows.
Wow, this is amazing. Like, I'm actually imagining those characters, and you actually created the whole different point of view of looking to this animals. Okay,
Yes.
I've seen a lot of doom movies. I've seen that, but this you're actually telling me you have given a human behavior to all of these animals, and that is
all are talking. Yes.
Yeah. This imagination is really awesome. So when you were actually thinking
Actually, there's one human also. There's one female human also. As I said, yes, Lara Ji is there.
Yeah. So when you were actually going through this all kind of imagination, creating this book while making it happen, before you actually decided, what struck you? Like, no, I have to put this, because, as an author and as a writer, we go through multiple thoughts. We go through a lot of things. And I know most of the part must have been deleted. You must have thought it, but no, it's not important. So we go through all kind of things. And author is like, when it's pumping, he pumps a lot of water. And then when it's not there, it's all dry out. It's like a desert.
So pipe has to be taken away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So when you went through a lot of thoughts, and what struck you and made you decide, no, I have to write this book down. I have to put it out in public. What was that? What struck you?
You see, there were challenges, of course. But to keep my thing, of course, to give something to children. As I always think, in every human being, a child's heart always resides. Whether it be you or me, or actually a small child of 6 or 7 years old, everyone has an innocence. And who doesn't like to laugh?
Yeah.
So my main motivation is laughter. I like to see comedies a lot. I keep seeing comedies from old days till today. Each day I try. My day doesn't get fulfilled until I see a comedy and laugh.
Yeah.
Because there are so many things going on every day around us. Life is so fast nowadays. So, and yes, of course. So then next is with Googly, I started writing Googly. But then a book cannot only have one story, Googly, and it is not a novel that I'm writing. So I had a idea of compiling stories, but of course, there were challenges. I had to complete my own household work. There was my job going on. There were so many other things going on I had to take care of. Then finally, and again, like my mother, I have taken the habit of, telling stories to my daughter.
Yeah.
So telling stories to my daughter, Impu Chimpu started coming to me. I started telling the story, there was a lion and there was a mouse. The lion went on the afternoon walk after having a good lunch, after having the lamb roast, cooked by his wife, and all these things. Then it slowly started coming to me. And I saw my daughter's reaction. She was just loving and enjoying it. The next day again, Mama, what happened to that story? Tell me the next part. So I went on saying, and finally I saw that the story is coming out, and it's taking quite a good time. It's
Yeah.
not that short even because there's so many characters and she loved the characters because if I curtail those characters, the
Mm.
main essence, the laughter, the amusement will all vanish. So
Yeah.
I had to at least keep these things which was essential ingredient of the story, I will say. So Impu Chimpu came
Okay.
to me in this way, talking to her and telling stories to my daughter rather.
Yeah.
First story is about Udara, Mudara and Tara. So,
Yeah.
Udara, Mudara and Tara is about the harmonium bridge. The kids who are listening to this, and if you are a music lover, I am sure you all love music. Either you sing or you hear, listen to it, or you sing in your own space, but you surely love music, love the chords. So
Mm.
Udara, Mudara, and Tara are the three scales of a harmonium. So I have made it a musical comedy.
Okay.
Somewhere I am Udara, Mudara, and Tara everywhere, along with my cousins.
Yeah. Yeah.
The kind of mischief that they do. There is mention about the circus and the
Mm.
clown
Mm.
that we
Mm.
always do not see nowadays. So again,
Yes.
in my childhood, we used to see a lot of circus and a clown, the trapeze games. All
Yeah.
these things are mentioned in that story, Dara Mudara and Tara. How they give a difficult and hard time to their parents. It's very difficult to manage, but still, how if you are thinking, the
Yes.
parents are thinking how to manage a naughty kid,
Mm.
they can sing to them. They can talk to them. They can do
Okay.
different ways, but this is also
Okay.
another way. Udara, Mudara, and Tara talk to them about the circus, about the
Mm.
clown. Because
Mm.
there are nowadays again technology is so fast. Each child knows how to
Yeah.
handle
How to?
technology.
Yeah. Yeah. They know
Yes,
everything.
but they don't know how to sit patient without technology. That is
Yes.
one
Yes.
challenge.
Yes.
So if
And
you
that is
can
big
challenge
challenge.
yourself,
That
big
is big.
challenge, yes. Even we elderly are getting into it, but still, this is a challenge for myself also to,
Mm.
keep myself sometimes away from technology,
Away from.
but and only get involved in immersed into this. Again, I'm
Mm.
playing the role of so many characters. The last one
Yeah.
is Nakul sat on a high chair,
Uh,
and Nakul, I would say,
is this the
is
same Nakul that got in Hindu?
yes,
Or
it's the same one,
okay,
not the
okay.
same story. It's
Yeah,
another
okay.
part.
Okay,
It's
okay.
another part. Yes, Nakul is a compilation of again a book. It is
Mm-hmm.
going to come soon. So
Okay.
the part of one story I had given in the Hindu, another part is here in
Mm-hmm.
the book. Nakul sat on a high chair.
Mm-hmm.
It is a challenge that every school student feels.
Okay.
May it today or may it 10 years later or may it be in the future in the 10 years, as a teacher's perspective, from a teacher's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
from a student's perspective, what I've understood, the
Mm-hmm.
challenges that little children face, handling so many subjects together,
Mm.
sometimes losing their confidence level.
Yes.
Some are very overconfident, some are shy, some cannot speak. Each child has some great inner quality and good ability talent, but not everyone can express that. Not
Mm.
everyone has the chance of expressing. So Nakul is my one such protagonist who is very sweet and very loving. He loves pets. He has an Alsatian dog named Pushu and
Okay.
a squirrel named Tito.
Okay.
So these are his life. He equally loves his sister and his best friend in school,
Okay.
but he is very dependent on them. He cannot express his own problems. He
Oh.
is so dependent on his sister and his best friend, and they understand his soft corner. They understand the soft part, so they speak for him many times,
Okay.
which
Okay.
is not always correct.
Yeah.
So if students go through it, they will understand what is the sometimes the tension, the anxiety.
Mm.
Sometimes they dream of those anxious things comes in their dream. That's the same thing chasing Nakul. But finally, Nakul overcomes with one sudden situation and event that happens in the school on the day of exhibition.
Okay.
So that is one thing which if you read, the readers read,
Okay.
they will understand.
When we talk about your stories, it has a huge influence on the kids, those who have read it and those who are going to read this book. They will have a huge influence of the stories. They'll laugh out, but they'll actually have an influence. They'll get some imagination. They'll get into storytelling. They'll have that kind of they'll be in that world. So, when you're writing all these stories, which one is your favorite? As you have explained everything about the story, among these
Yeah.
stories, which one is your favorite?
Well, I like Googly and Nakul a lot.
Okay.
As I said, Nakul is a challenge that we all face, that children face these days. And I like my Nakul. I like my protagonist. He is so soft and
Okay.
sweet.
Okay. Okay.
And Of course, not a single child of mine, because all our small babies I have created in my book. I would say four babies in my book together. So each
Yes.
baby is very dear to the mother. So
Yes.
similarly, I would start with Nakul and Googly. And then, of course, because I myself had been very mischievous, I have lived my days of naughtiness, but enjoyed it thoroughly also, is
Yeah.
Udara, Mudara, and Tara. Input,
Ah.
I have just put in that let everyone laugh, that
Yeah.
everyone see and understand, and
Mm.
forget everything beyond imagination when they read Impu Chimpu and all the other stories here.
Yes. Yes. So, as kids have gone through this, and many will go after the interview and after this whole thing. Uh, what impact or what kind of message all the stories leave on the kids? What impact, uh, and what kind of what will they get, and what stays with them? There are films and there are movies and there are cartoons. When they end
Yeah.
at certain time, they stays with us. There are few, there are not a lot of them. There are few that stays with them. So, what is a thought that you leave with the stories? What stays with the kids? What will stay with the kids?
With Gogli, they will understand not to hurt people. So,
Mm.
how to be compassionate.
Yeah.
Gogli and Nakul tells them, be confident, be compassionate, and face the situation. That will stay with them.
Okay.
They will think for some time, yes, they will be able to relate, I think so. They will
Mm.
think, yes, this did happen with me also sometime.
Yeah.
This happened to my mom once, she said me. This happened to my father, to my uncle.
Okay.
So all these things, there were stories like this. Yes, I was into that place where I was asked this question. I could not answer. I
Okay.
felt bad. But yes,
Okay.
next, did I try to make it up? So instead of avoiding
Yeah.
situations, as for Nakul, instead of avoiding the subjects which you feel you are weak in,
Mm.
go with your strong subject first and add the others, also treat them equally.
Yeah.
See how good appreciation will you receive. You will be worthy of yourself.
Mm.
So your best challenge is yourself. Your best competition, you yourself are your competition.
Yes.
That will be taught first. That will leave a message.
Oh,
Impu Chimpu again, that how
it's fun.
humans are also,
Mm.
yes, sometimes humans behave oddly, but animals are compassionate more.
Yeah.
Why do we love to keep pets? Many
Mm.
of us have pets in our home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? What are the reasons why keeping them? Many of us don't, deal and talk to humans much inside our homes, but we live with pets and spend time. What is we look after their food timing, we'll have to look after everything, we take them to a walk, even if you're
Yes.
tired. Why is that
Yes.
reason? What is the reason behind this? There must be some, a moving factor that moves you,
Mm.
that compels
Yes.
you to
Yes.
get that pet outside the home. So in Puchinpo, as you read it, you will understand how lovely the story is, bonding between not only humans and animals, but also, between humans and humans, between
Mm.
animals, each other, the bonding, the bond of love is very important.
Yeah.
And Udara, Mudara, and Tara, as I say,
Yeah.
how the childhood that girls grow up and become little mature.
Mm-hmm.
So that is musical part. How music can help, heal lives.
Yeah.
There's so many things about music, music therapy, healing
Mm.
to music. Listening to it, of course, is always relaxing for all of us.
Yeah.
So that is one different stories with four kinds of messages. But yes, one common thought will be there for all. That yes, overall, I could relate. All the four stories will make a person, the reader, relate to the story.
Relative. Yeah. If that is the biggest thing any book should have. Like if you are reading, that should connect with the readers, and
Connecting, yes.
yeah, that can relate relatable situations. They can also imagine being in the same situation at the same time
Yes.
when they are reading this. So that creates a more connection, and that's a good thing. So, yeah, you told a lot of things about your childhood, how this book came up, and that was really amazing. What kind of thought this book leaves, and not the book, every story leaves a thought, and that stays with the kid.
Yeah.
That teaches them something. So that was really amazing. But for the kids, or for the adults, do you have any new upcoming book that is going to release in some time? Is there any project that is going on?
Yeah, surely there's one, because a writer's work won't be complete until the readers read it,
Yeah,
and the writer's work is incomplete with only one writing, of course.
yeah.
So then it's I hopefully by the next month,
Mhm.
at the end of this month of February 22, or by March, I'll have my new book named Diggy Dilly Daisy.
Oh, wow.
It's already in the printing process.
See you, funny names.
Yeah, Diggy Dilly Daisy. Again, three girls, again, three sisters. But there are two parts of the story.
Okay.
Part one deals with the three girls and again their father and the mother, again their naughtiness, mischief, their friends, of kind of different kinds of odd ideas what they have. But also, of course, about little about study. That is also little important. That is also into their, decorum, into their routine. And part two deals with a farm named Brinjal. It's totally a fantasy land where Daisy lands their farm, where Daisy lands and what are the, adventures she faces. She has there, sometimes she's loving it, she has fun, she has danger, she meets challenges. So that is Brinjal term, this part two of the Gidney Daisy. So there are two parts, again, this book.
It's
That
coming in
beautiful,
March,
it is
and it's coming in March, and right?
not March end, in the beginning of March,
The first
beginning of March.
in the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
first week. Okay, that's amazing.
first week, yes.
Okay. We'll be waiting for that book. It sounds really interesting
Thankful for
and
that.
funny. Yeah, it sounds really interesting, and the listeners who just got this exclusive news, that it's coming. Uh, Before we actually end this interview, I'd like to know where people can connect with you on social media: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, email.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm there
Please mention
on
your social
Facebook.
media.
I am there on Instagram, and not more than that. Like I said, I also try to
Okay. So
write
by what
very
name?
rather.
Please name your handles. By what name
It's
are you on
N A
Facebook?
N A double G L A double G N A G I T L Agnajita. They will get me there on Facebook and Instagram both. And in case they want to mail me to write about my stories, write about their ideas, it's lagnachat7@gmail.com. LAGNACHAT, lagnachat number 7@gmail.com.
Okay. To all the listeners, this same information, if you missed it, it's not like it's gone. All the information about social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and the mail ID will be mentioned in the description of this whole episode, so you can get it from there. Also, the book, Googly, Impu Chimpu and Other Story, is already there on Amazon. So make sure you go and check out the book. It's making everyone laugh, live, and it is creating an huge impact to the kids. So yes, it's available on Amazon, and the link is available in the description of this same episode. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being on the show. Any advice you would like
Thank you
to
so
pass
much.
on? Any advice to the kids, to anyone, to the readers, to your listeners, if you have?
Thank you for the wonderful time that you have given me. Yes, kids, perseverance and patience with confidence will surely take you to your correct goal. Just judge yourself, make an analysis each day before you go to sleep. Write few lines about yourself, the strong points about yourself, and the discard the weak ones. I think this will help you a lot. Along with you, it will help me to get connected to my readers. And keep reading, keep smiling, keep reading, keep smiling.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that wonderful advice, ma'am. Thank you for being on the show.